unassuming, untested. Ever since the agrochemical tomato called Flavor Saver was deemed fit for human consumption in 1994, there has been a surge of genetically modified foods onto our supermarket shelves. And unlike Europe, there is no mandate in the US for food companies to label products that contain what are known as genetically modified organisms. Rice, corn, peas, soy, potatoes, squash, zucchini, salmon, and milk. All of these foods sit innocently on our grocery shelves next to their organic counterparts. They look the same, smell the same, and even taste the same. But 60% of food that we eat every day has a potentially dangerous secret lurking in its DNA. Growth defects, infertility, disease, and allergies have all been linked to the creation and consumption of genetically engineered food. But somehow, these issues have been swept aside. Questions we should be asking, like where does my food come from and how safe is it, have been buried in the booming new GM food industry. What is GM food? Well, genetically modified food is crops, plants and animals whose DNA has been altered for agricultural and nutritional reasons. It began in 1946, when two scientists called Joshua Lederberg and Edward L. Tatum conducted an experiment and discovered that DNA could be transferred from one species to another through a process called bacterial conjugation. This discovery has led to the development of special rice that can prevent blindness, herbicide-resistant crops, disease-resistant vegetables, and livestock growth hormones, which all improve farming efficiency. Today, the GM food industry makes $85 billion in the US market alone. Food companies and the media argue that the GMO revolution is the answer to our modern agricultural problems. But in 1998, when the GM industry was still in its infancy, Dr. Arpad Pushtai from the Rowett Research Institute in Aberdeen uncovered a shocking truth about species manipulation while he was conducting a GMO experiment on rats. Pushtai found that when his rats ate genetically modified potatoes, they developed cancerous cells in their intestinal tracts and brains. When his research went public, Pushtai was bombarded with criticism from the food industry and academics who said that his experiment was flawed. His research was effectively quashed by the big GMO players. His career was publicly ruined, and GMO was left to blossom into the $16 billion seed industry that it is today. But when huge food corporations like Kraft, Nestle and Hershey refuse to use GM organisms in their products for the European food market, what does it tell us about the safety of these so-called frankenfoods? After all, to get the results we want, we have to tinker with DNA, which is the blueprint for all living things. DNA is a complex molecule that lives inside the nucleus of a cell. When GM food is produced, biochemists have to artificially force the DNA from one species into another. This involves scrambling a food organism's blueprint, which changes its behavior and characteristics.